All right, everybody. It's been a minute since I've hopped on here and recorded. The last 2 weeks for myself have been fairly hectic, fairly numb, fairly medicated, constipated, frustrating, feeding, painful. There's more. But as of right now, we are on the mend from a knee replacement surgery. And I figured I'd just kind of hop on here real quick and give everybody an update about what I'm going through, some of the funny things that have happened along the way and not so funny things that have happened along the way. And just kind of give everybody an update of the last 2 weeks of my life. And here's what I'm going to tell you right off the bat. And that is, I knew that there was going to be some pain and some recovery involved. I had a lot of people reach out to me and say, hey, guy, at your age, it shouldn't be too terribly bad. You're going to be able to recover faster just because of your age. And, very positive, uplifting comments. And I appreciate that. But the guy, there's a guy who reached out to me on Instagram. And he goes, dude, not going to sugarcoat it for you. The next 2 weeks of your life are going to suck ass and it's going to be painful. You're not going to sleep. And so I kind of went into post surgery. So like if you're listening to this on Wednesday when it's released, it will have been 2 weeks since my surgery. And he was like, dude, I got it done. And this guy was 10 years older than me. I think he got it done at 55. Not 45, but 55. And he's just like, you're not going to be able to do anything. You're not going to be able to sleep. The pain meds are going to have you all over the place. You're not going to shit. You're not going to like all this stuff. And I keep going back to that message and reading it because it's been the most accurate description of what I've been going through in the last 2 weeks. So I'm going to share that. Anyway, before we get into today's topic, which is how shitty my life has felt in the last couple days, I'm going to say a big thank you to the partners of the Nine Finger Chronicles podcast. I owe them a big thank you because last week I didn't put out any content for the Nine Finger Chronicles, and I owe them a big thank you basically for understanding that the knee surgery kind of required me. I would have not had shit to say about any topic. I probably would have fallen asleep trying to talk with someone because of the pain meds that I was on and the lack of sleep. So it wouldn't have been a fun conversation. It probably would have sounded like I was drunk, to be honest with you. And nobody wants that. So, or maybe some of you do. But let's get through these real quick. If you're looking for an amazing broadhead, whether you're a fixed blade guy or a mechanical guy, go check out wasparchery.com. Most of their heads are still manufactured in the United States. Badass material, badass design, which kind of results in just puncture wounds that destroy tissue. And that's what we want when we're hunting, right? So go check out wasparchery.com. Discount code NFC20 for 20% off. Next on the list is Vortex Optics. It is turkey season right now. And that's part of this conversation today of some kind of realizations, what I may or may not be able to do for this upcoming turkey season. But if you haven't put on a red dot on your turkey shotgun yet, go to vortexoptics.com, take a look at all of their optics, specifically their red dots for turkey shotguns. And man, just like there's no better target than putting a dot where you want your spread to go. You know what I mean? So vortexoptics.com. Next on the list is Code Blue Scents. Code Blue offers a variety of real and synthetic deer urine, scent elimination products like body sprays and laundry detergents, things like that. My favorite, the Rope-A-Dope Mock Scrape Kit. Go check out codebluescents.com. Discount code NFC20 for 20% off. And I like to pair my Rope-A-Dope Mock Scrape Kit with a Reveal trail camera. Now, Reveal is made some changes to their platform in the last 6 months. They have some new cameras that have come out in the past 6 months. So if you are not caught up on those platform changes and those camera changes, go check out Reveal trail cameras at tacticam.com/cameras and knock that out. Go check that out. All right. So it all started Wednesday. I was at the hospital by 5:45 in the morning. I was under, they did the whole thing. They shaved the knee. They put me in a gown, shaved the knee, took me back there. They gave me I think they called it a spinal. So it's almost similar. It's not the same as, but it's similar to what women get, like an epidural for pregnancies. So they put me to sleep from basically the belly button down, and then they go to work. So I was sitting there. They did that. They gave me some sedation to knock me out. Next thing I know, I'm waking up having a conversation with a nurse, and it was like 2 hours later, right? And so doctor said things went well, and I was feeling really good. I was actually feeling very optimistic at that point. I would say 3 hours post operation, I was still in the hospital, and I was feeling good. Like I felt like, oh my God, if this is how I feel post surgery, then this rehab is not going to be anything. Little did I know that there were still a massive amount of drugs coursing through my veins, which the sedation was wearing off, and I guess the blocker, the pain blocker from the waist or from the belly button down was wearing off, had not worn off. And I felt really good, to the point where I was even standing up and using a walker to walk around I could instantly feel a new range of motion in my knee. And I was like, dude, I was very optimistic at that point. And so I was there for maybe another 45 minutes. I had to wait for the doctor to come in and take a look at everything, kind of check me out of the hotel. My mom was my chaperone that day because obviously I can't drive, and we went home. I went to bed. I kind of fell asleep a little bit. The pain pills that they gave me, I couldn't really tell if they were working or not. I fell asleep. I was tired. I fell asleep for a little bit. Fast forward about 5 hours, things are starting to get a little bit more uncomfortable. Took some pain pills. I started my Tylenol ibuprofen rotation, my baby aspirin rotation to prevent blood clots, and also a stool softener, which has a hilarious story later on in this episode. But because the pain meds were opiates, I guess opiates mean that you can't take dumps. And so it's hard to pee and poop. So I had to take stool softeners that would allow me to go. And so that was like the amount of pills that I was on. And so I figured, hey, if I just tough this out for the next 24 hours, I'll be all right. And at about 1:30 in the morning, I had to tell my wife, I got to go to the ER. I got to go back to the ER because the pain is unbearable. It was by far across from the tip of my toe to the ankle, up to the knee, all the way into the hip bone. My entire leg felt like, I don't know, like it felt like the doctor let my wife into the operating room and said, you have 15 minutes to take out all the frustration you have with your husband out on this right leg. So if you're going to do it right now. And she just beat the shit out of my leg with a baseball bat. That's what it felt like. Of course, the wound itself, the tissue damage, part of the procedure includes a tourniquet. Around the tourniquet, they have to cut part of the quadricep in the leg. And so it was brutally gnarly. And so I'm like, hey, I got to go to the ER. Took me to the ER. My wife dropped me off at the ER. Then she went home, and absolutely hilarious. They don't let you in the ER anymore without like identification. So I'm sitting there sweating. I'm in so much pain. I'm sweating. And my wife is like trying to help me, and I'm losing my patience. And I'm just like, open the fucking door, please. Open the door. I'm in pain. I had knee replacement surgery today. I can't do anything. I'm about ready to pass out. So they put me in a wheelchair, took me back. They gave me 3 shots of morphine over probably maybe a 5-hour period. And I kind of fell asleep in there a little bit, got a little rest. And then they had to change my pills because they weren't working to a higher medication, like an actual pill form of morphine, which, dude, like, I know some people get hooked on that stuff, but it's brutal. Man. Like, just The only way that I can explain morphine or some of these opiate drugs they give you for pain is in the cartoons where you have like the two cartoon cat boxers or the two boxers, and one of the boxers punches the other cartoon character so hard his soul comes out of his body and he just kind of floats around. That's what I was feeling like. And so it helped, but I was having trouble speaking and I was having trouble like communicating. And dude, it was brutal, man. And so then that entire next day, I'm obviously in my bed, trying to ice, trying to make sure I maintain my pills, trying to, just try to get as comfortable as possible, which the theme of this entire thing has been bananas. Like, I cannot get comfortable. Right now, I'm sitting in my chair and my knee is it's throbbing. I'm having a hard time like focusing on what words to say next. And I'm not even on pills anymore. I'm just on the Tylenol Advil rotation right now. So because I need to start driving so that I can start taking my kids to practices and start to contribute to being a dad again. Because my wife, God bless her heart for going through and continue, like she's doing this, the kids are helping out, but she is carrying a weight right now. Basically, she's an only parent right now. Like I don't have enough energy to even yell at the kids. I'm so tired and worn out. Right. So anyway, my wife was helping me like get me things and, show like basically being a servant or a butler for me. My kids were doing the same thing. My oldest boy, he was really, really good. It's actually surprised me that this past weekend, my daughter had a wrestling tournament. It's her first ever national wrestling tournament she went to in Kansas City, Missouri. She got 5th place, which was amazing. And my youngest son wanted to go and, stay in a hotel, swim in a swimming pool. And that's pretty fun for a kid. But my oldest boy was like, dude, Dad, I'm going to stay here because someone needs to help take care of you. And I thought that was pretty sweet. And yeah, so there's that. Anyway, so that brings us to the first therapy session my first therapy session was on Friday then. My surgery was on Wednesday, the 25th or something like that. 6th, 7th was my first therapy session. And my mobility was actually really good. Like being able to bend to 90 and extend, try to extend to 5 or 0 to get my knee straight or as bent as humanly possible. And that's the goal, right? So the goal is, I believe, 125 degrees over a 6-week period. I'm currently at 115, so I have 10 more degrees to go to hit that, and I'm only 2 weeks in. So that's a win. I've already hit my goal on my extension, which is 0 degrees. Basically, that's a full extension of the knee. The issue is coming with the the quadricep. Because they had to cut that, they're asking me to do these quadricep exercises, and it's not going that well. I'm having a extreme amount of pain flexing my quadricep, getting it stable to do the exercises. And I think a lot of it has to do with the expectations that I'm putting on myself. My physical therapist, at the first, I said, all I care about is that I can safely climb in a tree stand by October, late October, early November. That's all I want to do. I want to be able to climb a tree, sit in a tree. And he's like, yeah, man, you just keep doing this and you're going to be just fine. And so my physical therapist is actually really good. And he's kind of funny too. He's basically like, hey man, you got to chill out because you're going to push yourself into an additional injury, actually trying to rehab this knee too fast. And so it sucks going from active dad, participating dad, Coach Dan, wrestling, baseball, football, all that stuff, to a dead zero stop, which is one of the most frustrating parts about this, is going from a high activity level to no activity level at all. And it's that's a mental part of this that no one really talked about. And it starts to wear on you after a while and you get sad. Like, I've been sad about the last 4 days now to a point where, like, I just I don't know, not to sound like a puss, but I just kinda wanna give up, and I think the biggest contributor to that is the lack of sleep, straight up, no sleep. I bet you since the surgery, the biggest period of time I've had in one setting of sleep has probably been an hour and 30 minutes, maybe an hour and 45 minutes. Outside of that, it's been every 30 minutes. I wake up, try to get comfortable, and I can't. And then I have to switch around, and then I try to fall asleep again. I'll exchange ice packs, try to put ice packs on my ankle or my knee or my hip, wherever that's at, and try to get some sleep. And today, when I went in for my post-surgery follow-up with a doctor who did it, he prescribed me some sleeping pills that are supposed to like help me relax and calm down a little bit. So I'm looking forward to tonight to take one of those pills 30 minutes before I go to bed, in hopes that I can get to, like, I'd give almost anything for 4 hours of sleep right now. I would give up anything for like just 4 straight hours of sleep from like 9 to 1 in the morning. Just give me 4 hours of uninterrupted sleep, and I feel like I would wake up a completely different person. So that's another hard part about this is the sleep deprivation, because like I'm not on the pain pills anymore. I decided I needed to stop those because I need to, like I said, I need to drive. It sucks having my dad or my mom come all the way here. That's an hour drive for them just to take me to a doctor's appointment. My wife has a very high intensity job where she's on meetings almost 8 hours a day. And so she can't miss those. And so I needed to get off that pain pill in order to be able to drive. So now I'm sitting right now as I'm recording this, roughly, we're going 48 hours, no opiate medication. So that's a good thing. And every day is actually getting a little better and a little better and a little better. I've tried to be very mobile, and I've tried to do a lot of walking. It initially started with my walker, and I would just take these laps down my hallway, around my kitchen table, around my kitchen island, and then go back into my boy's bedroom, turn around, and do that like 5 times. And that's where it started. And then when I traded in the walker for the crutches, and I would go outside, and the first one was just down the block to the bus stop, which is probably 200 yards. 200 yards down to the bus stop, turn around, 200 yards back. And that was maybe even less. I did that 2 times a day. And then starting this weekend, I would walk down to the stop sign at the end of our street, and I would do that 5 times a day, 3 times a day, to try to be as mobile as possible, get as much blood circulating through my body as possible to get new blood into that area. And I did that again today, but now I'm down to 1 crutch, right? So I'm hoping that by next week, I'll be either on a cane, or I'll be on either a cane or no crutches or cane at all. A lot of that, though, has to do with the stability of my knee with my quadricep. So obviously being able to stand on 1 foot and do an exercise and keep the quad stable so that it locks the knee in place so that I can do these exercises is pretty difficult at this point. So, but as far as walking is concerned, I'm feeling pretty good about it. Now, here's the funny part. So I had my follow-up today, and as I had already said, I've been taking these stool softeners. And over the course of the last, 14 days, this is going to be one of those too much information type things, but over the course of the last 14 days, I've taken, now 3 bowel movements. But the first one that I had was difficult. Like, I was sitting there trying to not blow an O-ring out of my body, trying to force it out. And finally I got a little bit out, and it did okay. And then like 3 days later, last week, I was at home, I was drinking more water. I was on the stool softener still. And these opiate poops, man, are the hardest and gnarliest. I looked at it and it was probably the size of a water bottle as far as thickness is concerned, but it had the texture of gravel. At least that's what it felt like coming out of me. And dude, it was brutal. Like the toilet seat was wet with sweat. I was sweating through my shirt trying to get that son of a bitch out. And finally, I'm just going to call it a log. I got a log out and I felt a little bit better. Like I didn't feel as bloated. I didn't feel as I didn't feel as bloated or as constipated because I had a significant bowel movement. I know there's still more in there. The other thing about opiates, though, is they make you not hungry. The pain, obviously, and the opiates, I'm not hungry. So I'm basically forcing myself to eat just so I have something in my stomach to get me through the day. Like, because my body is right now telling me, you don't need to eat, dude. You don't need anything. And so, but I'm hoping that my appetite comes back after, the opiates are all out of my system, which they should be. I mean, I'm 48 hours out now. So, but the pain has a lot to do with that as well. Let's see here. So I go to the doctor today. He gives me, he checks my leg out. He gives me the prescription. And so my pharmacy is in a grocery store. It's called Hy-Vee for you Midwesterners Iowa, I don't even know where else, like Hy-Vee, wherever. Anyway, Hy-Vee, that's where we go. And so I'm on one crutch. I pull into the parking lot. I get out, I walk into the store or into the pharmacy. And I'm just like, hey, I'm here to pick up some meds and, give them the birth date. You give them the name, address, whatever. And they're like, okay, well, we just got this in. It's going to take about 15 minutes. And I said, okay, well, this store's big enough that I'll go take a walk through it. I'll go get my steps in. One of my walks can be in this grocery store today. Well, I'm starting to walk down the aisles. I'm clearing the back of the store. And guess what starts to happen? The stool softeners have finally caught up with me, and they did not give me a warning at all. And you've never seen a guy post-op knee replacement on one crutch hobble as fast to a bathroom as humanly possible. And there I spent the next 45 minutes draining my bowels into this Hy-Vee bathroom. And, it felt good. I'm not going to lie. It felt good to do it. It sucked because I wasn't at home, but I will say, shout out Hy-Vee. You guys got some clean bathrooms. Huge fan of Hy-Vee. I just want to say thank you for I had the optimal post-surgery, post-opiate bowel movement that a guy like me could ever have dreamed of. It felt really good to just blow it out. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It felt really good. But now here we are. Past that, now I'm still going. Like now the stool softeners are still in my system, and I don't know what I have left in my system. So now I'm just like squirting, and now I have to wipe every time, obviously. And now my butthole's sore, and it's just, dude, getting old sucks, dude. The thing I will say though is when I go back to do this again, because I'm sure at some point, whether it's my left knee or I have to have this second one done again in 20 some years when I'm 65, I'm definitely going to spend the night. That's the goal. Is I want to spend the night, and I want to stay in the hospital for the first night, which they offered it to me and I declined. I wish I would have spent the night in the hospital the first night. And other than that, the road to recovery, I'm still in it. I have another 4 weeks, I'm guessing, of rehab. I'm going 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, going through all the bends and the exercises that will hopefully get me to, I guess, rehabilitation status, and then start just taking care of it on my own, like getting exercise bikes, going on walks, being able to slowly start introducing weights and, stability exercises and things like that. So I'm really looking forward to keeping the progress going and because I'm hunting, right? I want to hunt. Here's the sad part, and this is what kind of bums me out, because my son is so excited for this upcoming turkey season, which is this weekend. Youth season is this weekend, and it just kind of hit me yesterday. Like, I'm not going to be able to walk through any woods or do anything like that, man. Like, I'm just not going to be able to do it. And so my son comes into the room. I was hoping we just kind of let it go under the rug, and it just kind of slides by. But he came in and he's like, "Dad, I want to go turkey hunting." And I'm like, "Buddy, I just don't know if I'm going to be able to take you this year." He's like, "Well, what about Grandpa? Or what about, we can go over to these other farms that Grandpa has." I'm like, "Well, he's not seen any turkeys out there and things like that. So it sucks, but I'm going to have to pass my son off to somebody to go have a mediocre experience." The good thing about Iowa's youth tags, though, if I buy them now, they're going to be good for the entire season. So they're going to be good for the entire turkey season, meaning even in May, towards the end of April, early May, when I start to be able to get out a little bit, I can still go take him out and, and maybe get him something later in the season. I think that's going to be more of an opportunity, but at that time, baseball is going to be in full swing. We have 2 tournaments in April, which blows my mind. I don't know if I'll be able to make both of those. I know both my kids were really looking forward to it, and it's not going to work out for youth season, I don't think. So here's what I'm going to do for that. I may call up some friends and ask for a one-time favor, and just be like, "Dude, I need a 1 year. I need help for 1 year. I want you to, maybe you can even go out with them, go with my stepdad, take my stepdad and my son out, and you can call for them, or you can, take them out to your turkey spots one time favor. And then maybe I'll trade them, where I'll be like, 'Hey dude, now why don't you come turkey hunting on my farm,' or something like that. I don't know. Or go on a hunt or fishing trip with them or something like that. Maybe I'll have to call in some favors, and see if we can find something a little bit more doable, because the turkey hunting that I do on my main farm, it's pretty aggressive terrain, man. And so I'm just trying to find a location where I can get a kid, like my stepdad and my boy, somewhere close enough to where they don't have to tromp through big giant timber like we would do if I was there, because I know the farm. They don't know the farm like I know it. They don't know where the turkeys roost and things like that. So I got to try to find some kind of slam dunk setup spots that are going to get these kids, get them to where they need to be. So we'll see what happens. I told my boy I'd start making some phone calls today. So after this podcast, I'm going to maybe try to call in a couple favors for that. So outside of that, man, that's all I got to say. This rehab every day seems to be getting a little better, minus the sleeping. I think last night I slept probably a total of 2 hours, but in 30-minute increments. So I know from 2:30, I don't even remember. I think all I know is that there was a period of time last night from 2:30 to 5:30 in the morning. I was up and awake with no sleep, trying to find a comfortable position on the couch and back and forth to the bed. And my wife, I know she wakes up and I'm loud because I can't do anything, I can't move and shit like that. So it's a slow process, which sucks because I don't want it to be slow. I want this healing process to be fast, and that's not how it works. So I need to slow down my pace and really try to focus on just trying to focus a little bit more, which is extremely hard to do when you have no sleep. So good vibes, right? Good vibes. So if I've sent a lot of good vibes out to all the listeners throughout the years, if you guys have just maybe a little bit of vibes left over for your own life, send them my way. I would greatly appreciate them. Thank you very much for taking time out of your day to get this update on me and all that stuff. So good vibes, everybody. Be safe out there. I appreciate all of the listeners here, and holler at your boy.